How's it going, everybody? Ecom Tom back with another video, and in this video I want to talk about my first sale that I made on my brand new Shopify store. So be sure to smash that like button. I'm going to break down literally everything, all the costs, everything is going to be completely transparent so you can see exactly, that nothing's ever perfect, and that the people that are telling you, oh, I made this and that and all this crazy numbers are most likely lying or fluffing things up a bit. So I'm gonna show you every single number, the fees, the cost, the shipping costs, everything like that, advertising costs. I'm gonna break it down all for you. From there, I'm gonna go into pretty much how I plan to scale the store more, which it was a while ago, so I've also done a bit of this. How I plan to scale it more, what I plan to do in the future with suppliers, how to get costs down, how to make my ads better, everything like that. So hopefully you enjoy this video. I think it's gonna be pretty informative if you haven't already done drop shipping on Shopify, or if this is something new to you. I think you'll get a lot out of it. Be sure to smash the like button, like I said. Subscribe if you haven't already. I don't have any free PDFs or mini courses on this yet, but I plan to make some form of a training on it in the future, at least a free one. And then, so we'll go inside my computer and I'll break it all down. You might hear a rooster or a bird or something in the background. I'm still in Nicaragua, and that's just the wildlife here. So you and I both will have to deal with it. So hopefully you enjoy this video, and I will see you inside of my computer. All right, so here we are inside of my computer, and I wanted to first give you a breakdown of kind of what I'm doing on the Shopify store. So the number one thing here is that I'm using US-based suppliers / manufacturers. I'm not using anything from China. It's pretty much what I've been saying on Shopify not to do since like 4 years ago. Yes, I have bashed Shopify in the past, but it's mainly people dropshipping China. Chinese, AliExpress, things like that onto Shopify, churning and burning hot trending products and kind of doing that type of business model. I'm mainly dealing with manufacturers here. Sometimes there's suppliers, not really like the big conglomerate wholesale suppliers like I've talked in the past about, like a CWR or an RSR group or anything like that. I'm not really using those. I'm using like contacting the actual brand, getting an agreement with them, do dropship, yes, no, yada, yada, yada. Looking for small to medium-sized companies here. Small to medium-sized is mainly gonna mean that they're not gonna have that many items, which is good and bad. If it's a great supplier, then if they have a lot of items, you wanna have more. But when they only have like 5 to 10 items, then it's much easier to see, like when you're running ads, is this worth it? Because you could have one supplier that it does just 5, 10 different types of different items, and at that point you need to break down your ads even more, because maybe they sell one type of item like like say dressers, but they also sell like kitchen stuff. It's not really going to work very well. Just if you're running ads, it doesn't make sense to run them all together in the same ad group. So that's one thing. I'm trying to make sure that they're smaller and it's just easier to deal with, less hassles, and probably not as well known. Gonna be aiming for higher ticket items. I wanna be making as much money as possible for every single sale. I don't wanna have to be processing tons and tons of different sales. Mainly one reason, because you're making more money for less work, which I've talked about in the past over the last many years, like I said, but also because of the fact that this is much less automatable, than if you have like API or FTP feeds or anything like that. That's really helping you out. It's not really going to be that automated. So you can have VAs doing and stuff, but again, it's just, you get more money for less work. And again, a lot of these items are going to be expensive. They're going to be larger. Usually that's kind of how it works. Not always, especially with some electronic type stuff, might not be that big, but you're most likely going to be using freight, which again, I've talked against freight in the past for specific reasons. But for this purpose, freight's perfectly fine. And again, it's a little bit harder to track those packages and make sure everything's set up properly. So again, it's the less amount of work possible, and the larger amount of money you can make for the least amount of work is kind of what we're trying to optimize here. We're gonna be running Google ads, Google shopping ads at the moment. Part of the reason is because they're less of a hassle than Facebook. I've been banned on every single Facebook ad running anything possible for no reason since the get-go. So Google ads is really what I'm going towards, and other things to be remarketing later on down the road, like I wanted to talk about, is capturing emails, offering coupons, getting their phone number eventually, and other things like that to retarget, re-email. And that's kind of goes with the first video that I made about Shopify, where I talked about you really only own 2 things on the internet when you're doing anything on the internet, and that's your website and also your email list. Again, the other day, recently, I got my 90,000 follower Instagram page banned for no reason, for pretending to be someone else. you're never safe in this game, and it's just you want to hedge things as much as possible. Can Shopify ban you? Yes, again, I talked about that, but it's much safer than, also I got banned on eBay of no reason. When I start doing things more legitimately right, more white hat, I seem to be getting into more problems. I don't understand how this is working, but it's just the way that it's been going for me. So now let's go into the item that I sold. So I don't even know how to work my Mac. Let me get out of here. All right, so here we are looking at the item that I did sell. So I know a lot of it's blurred out, mainly just to keep this page as anonymous as possible because I don't want to be getting sniped right off the bat here. So what did I do? It was one item, sold for $1,049.99. So it's a pretty good price for one item. Would I have liked a higher price? Yes. And we'll talk about other things that we can do in the future to move forward to really try to optimize and get as much out of each customer as possible. And that's pretty much it. He bought one unit of it. He had never been to my website before based off everything that I had read. He had just come there in the middle of, I think it was like the middle of the day. I was at, honestly, like an outdoor pool party, and I woke up the next morning and I had the sale. And I was like, hell yeah, they worked. That's that. He made one sale. It was pretty straightforward. The supplier was very easy to deal with. They were a little bit unorthodox. Like I said, I had to send them an email to say that I wanted this item. They sent out the item before I even paid them. But again, it's a smaller company. They only have like 6-7 items. And yeah, so that was pretty much that. So dude bought one item, came to my store, bought it, pretty much no questions asked, and it was very straightforward from there. So $1,049.99 is what he paid for it. What did I pay for it? So this is the invoice right here. And basically without having to scroll around and have to blur too much, the item was $750. I had asked them previously beforehand, like, how much do you estimate the shipping is going to be? They told me it was going to be $150. It was $157.72. So it's really not too far off. So I paid a total of $907.72 on this item altogether. And now we're going to go into the Google ads. So that's, the cost of the item minus what I paid for it, minus the shipping, same thing, what I paid for it altogether. There's no sales tax. I was in fact tax exempt. So now let's get into the ads, which is pretty much going to be the other cost of it here. So I know a good amount of it's blurred out, but if you come right down here, you're going to see this is the item to date. So I sold it on the 12th. You can go back to where I was on Shopify and see that I sold it on the 12th. To date, I sold it. When I had sold it, I had 29 clicks, 1 conversion. Other things didn't sell as well. This one sale, I'm not going to say made my store profitable. It was a profitable sale. But again, I was throwing a ton of money at ads just to try to get a good feel for what was going on. This one sold, 1 conversion, as you can see, with 29 clicks after I had spent about $58.16 on ads. So where does that leave me with the actual profit of this sale? So now I'm going to go back into the second slide of my PowerPoint so we can break it down. All right, so here I am back into the second slide of the PowerPoint, where is the breakdown of the first sale. So it sold for $1,049.99, like I said, and that's the MAP price of that item. So pretty much everybody is selling it at that price. You could try to sell it higher, but if everybody's marketing it at MAP, then you're going to want to, if you're not as low as them, then you're kind of screwing yourself, because why would anybody buy it from you at that point? Item cost, like we said, it was $907.22, $750 for the item, $157.72 for the shipping. There was PayPal fees. So one thing, I didn't bring up PayPal because this is a new business and I accidentally had my old business's PayPal connected to this Shopify store. I just completely overlooked it. So I had to take that money and then transfer it from one PayPal into the other. So it was just gonna be confusing to show. You can do the math. The fees were $37.13, and that was on the $1,049.99. I did use a 2% cashback credit card, the Capital One Spark card, which got me $18.14. Pay that 2%. You're foolish if you don't, especially if you are using massively expensive items. If you have a $1,000 item, but imagine if you had a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 item, you could be making like $100 cash back on literally one item. It's foolish not to. And then the ad cost was $58.16 for a total profit of $65.62. So it wasn't an amazing profit. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I wanted to break down everything and talk about kind of how I could have fixed that and made it better in the future. One thing is, obviously I'm not going to sell it for more than the MAP price because everybody else is already at the MAP price. You can check on Google and see, and it would be foolish to mark it up higher because then why would anybody buy from you if they could pick somebody for a cheaper price. Another thing here is the item cost. It's not really going to change. You can't really change the price of the item. That's pretty standard. The only thing you could really change is the shipping. It went through freight. It is a larger item, which, you know, they said it was $150. It was $157. That's really not going to make the biggest difference, a $7, almost $8 difference. It's not the biggest difference. The fees, that could have been a little bit different because I am paying for the more expensive Shopify store, which I believe is 2.6%. And PayPal's 2.9% with a 30-cent transaction fee. Shopify's 30-cent transaction fee as well. 0.3%, again, it's not really the biggest difference, but on a larger item, it is probably a couple dollars. I don't think it's the biggest deal, but again, these are all just little mistakes that kind of happened that if the first time you launch a store, there's going to be mistakes. Let's be honest here. 2% cashback credit card. The number one thing here that's going to change is not the 2%. It's going to be your ad costs. So number one thing I want to say is when I first started the ads, I was running them just willy-nilly at a store that wasn't even fully finished yet. So the $58 spent for this item wasn't even fully finished. Again, also, I wasn't checking the keywords that were actually coming up as regularly as I should have and what I was paying for them because my costs per click were definitely too high. And it's just because I was like, oh, I'm going to just put high cost per click. I'm going to throw a bunch of money at it. I think I threw, like, based off other brands and stuff over the first month and a half, I threw like over $1,000 into this just to learn everything and really get good at it. But for this one item, I had thrown $58.16 at that point in time on it. But I definitely would have spent less if, you know, even nowadays I would have spent less because I was just throwing money. I didn't have my keywords, my negative keyword list set up properly. I didn't have everything set up properly. I was spending a lot of money on specific keywords that I probably shouldn't have. And honestly, I feel like I probably could have cut this in half and still made the same amount of sales with it. So that's probably where you're going to be making your number one biggest changes. You know, if your supplier has MAP, you're not going to really change that. The only thing that's really going to vary is say they're in like Massachusetts and they want to, and you need to ship freight to California as opposed to shipping freight to someone also in Massachusetts. That would probably be a big difference, but that's not going to be really, that's something that you can control too much. So you can't really worry about that too much. PayPal fees in general, they're not really going to change. Cashback credit cards not really going to change. Your number one variable here is your ad costs. And that's really what's going to make a supplier or a specific item profitable or unprofitable. Are you spending, when you're spending your money, you know, is it actually making you more money or are you losing money based off the money you spend? It's pretty simple when you think about it basically like that. And then finally, the number one thing also is to really optimize your Shopify store. With Shopify, again, yes, there's a lot more moving pieces, but with those moving pieces, you can do so much with it. And if you just have a basic website and you don't really put any effort into it, you're not going to convert as well as somebody that has a website that they've put a lot of effort into converting things with, you know, with specific things like, oh, maybe I got approved the other day for Affirm, which will give somebody actually a payment plan. They can get a loan through Affirm and then you do pay a little bit more in fees. But then again, maybe someone that doesn't have the money to pay for this $1,000 item now is like, oh, well, if I pay 4 payments of $250 something, then, oh, now I do want to buy it. So that would up your conversion rate. You know, your click-through rate is going to be one thing, but now it's when they click there, are they converting? You know, now you're looking to how do I increase my conversion rate? And that's going to be, all right, now I have the ability to give people loans that, you know, you don't really have to deal with. It's all through Affirm. There's other things, oh, like what if you have your phone number there, they call you, or if you have a customer support chat and then they had a question and then they ask on your customer support chat, anything like that. Maybe you give them a coupon, there's a pop-up, you get their email, you retarget them that way, retargeting ads, anything like that. That's where you're really going to have the most control. Again, if somebody, you and 5 other people all have the same supplier, you know, and you know they say you have to sell it at this price, and you're going to get it for this price, you could negotiate a better per item cost, yes, but let's just say that you didn't. You know, everything's going to be the same minus your ads and how your website looks. I've seen, while looking through, and I'm going to make another video on this, some absolutely god-awful, terrible Shopify websites. And I'm not saying I'm an expert here. I'm literally saying, like, if you weren't, as long as you're not blind, you would look at this website and say, this is literally the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. How could somebody put this up there and think that this is good? I've seen a few of those. I'm going to expose some and just show you what not to do. But that's basically that. So, I mean, what's that? Like a 6%-ish profit. Again, I don't think this supplier is going to be the best long-term anyways, because it's going to be a little bit lower in the profit margins to begin with. But if they're popular And if we can get the ad cost down and the conversion rate higher, then I don't see why I wouldn't do it as long as it's over like 10%. I think it's perfectly fine. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So hopefully this video was informative. Again, I'm not here to say, oh, I sold my first item on Shopify and made, you know, enough to put a mortgage down on a house or anything like that crazy. I'm just here to show you the real truth of what to expect if you try to start something like this. And this goes with any form of dropshipping, with eBay, with Amazon, with Facebook, Walmart, if you haven't been banned on Walmart recently. You know, it goes with any form of dropshipping. There's always going to be extra costs or hidden fees or things that you don't realize. And by no means is this store yet at the moment profitable. Again, I'm spending a bunch of money just to really expedite my learning curve and a lot of things on it, because if you have money, or if you don't have money, then you have a lot of time. And if you don't have a lot of time, then you hopefully have a lot of money. And I have a good amount of money to throw at this right now. So that's what we are doing. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to smash like button. If you made it this far, smash like button, subscribe. There's gonna be a lot more videos like this that are coming out later on down the line. I recorded, it took me like 2 hours to get this video set up. So, because I'm on a Mac and I don't even know how to use my Mac yet. So if I don't have as much energy as I could have, it's because I had the energy 2 hours ago before I spent 2 hours trying to get this video working on my Mac. But yeah, so that's that. If you want to see more, let me know down in the comments what you want to see. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thank you, and I will see you in the next one.